I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. The tea today is Builders, which is kind of one of our everyday sort of teas, and we are back to an everyday sort of routine. For those of you who are doing hat watch, yes, I did knit this. The pattern is free on Ravelry, and it's called Snowfall, one word. I just fell in love with this shade of blue and decided to do it several years ago, actually. So not a new thing. Got to get back into the swing of doing this thing. It's been a couple of weeks, I think. Kind of took a little bit of a break there at Christmas, and now I'm catching up on stuff. So anyhow, Stacko Games here, all of which I'm going to be mentioning, if ever so briefly, because in January of last year, I started using board game stats, usually just called BG stats, to track my plays and my games and things like that. It's got a lot of nifty features to it. So anyhow, I looked at it to find out what the mostest plays were and games in general, how many plays we had. My husband Robert and I are casual weekend board gamers, which regular viewers know. We are not professionals, not a professional board game channel. None of the stuff you see on this channel is like a freebie from a publisher or anything. I'm just a regular old board gamer. Even so, we played a lot more games than I thought a casual weekend board gamer would play. Nowhere near, I suppose, the numbers of people who have professional board game channels and do reviews and things like that. I'm sure they, I don't know, play thousands of games a year. But still, for just, people just doing this for fun, we got some big numbers. Total, from my notebook here, last year, 2023, we had 323 plays of 108 games. 28 of those games had 4 or more plays, which is also kind of interesting. It kind of sets us different from professional board game players because a lot of those, they play a game and then move on and play a game and then move on. Basically, they just, they get the game down once and that's it, rather than just playing it over and over again for fun. Because they have, being professionals and getting games in from publishers, they have a lot of games to get through. And I have a lot of games to get through too. But they're all ones we bought. So what did we play the most? It's probably not going to be a surprise to you that, I don't know where it is. Oh, here. The game we played the most is Numsters. Tippy. A button shy game. It is just a little sort of number manipulation game. This is strangely addictive. I mean, it's one of those kind of games that you can just play over and 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 over again. I did not log every single play of Numsters because if I had, I would have ended up in a total number of plays in the hundreds. I logged the first game that I played, which was a loss, of course, because I was still trying to figure out how to do it. And the other thing I don't like about this hat is it's kind of a cone head hat. It does this. Tends to slide off my head, but I'm not going to take it off because I'm having a bad hair day. Oh, let me see if I can do this here. Anyway, but what I did is after that first loss, there's a thing you do with Numsters where essentially you try to get a win with every number. And so after that, I just logged my wins and put into the comments what number I had won with. So that way I could keep track. But I played this thing 17 times, won it 17 times, played it probably hundreds of times to get the 17 wins. But it plays in about 5 minutes. So that's how you can get really, really big numbers. And it would have been, as I said, even bigger if I'd logged all the games. But I just logged the games that I won and the numbers that I won with. I did not win with every single number before I kind of got burned out on it, and set it aside. I may go back to it this year and work on those. I think I got a couple of numbers that are missing, but I didn't get every single number. But I had 17 plays of numbsters. Another game we played a whole lot when we first got it, but not so much later, is Birds of a Feather Western North America. And again, this game is really, really fast. I mean, this is like maybe 15 minutes, maybe. But the problem with this game is when you're playing it with two people, this game is basically a 4-player game. If you got 4 players, you can just play the heck out of this. It is a 4-player game. But now what it says is that it's a 1 to 7-player game. I liked the solo version at first, but then it started to kind of bug me a bit. Because I was playing it on the app too. And the app is good for scorekeeping, much better than the score sheet, because the app is color-coded and the score sheet isn't. And I found when I was teaching this game to people, they had a hard time like figuring out up, down, sideways, and symbols and, marking the right things on those teeny tiny little black and white score sheets. And I'm not kidding, the score sheet is small, because it's a small box game. I like the game. I like the artwork. It's a lot of fun if you're playing it with the right group of people and the right number of people. But it's half of the cards played are totally random if you're playing it at 2 players. If you're playing at 4 players, it's pretty good. If you're going up above 4, then you start to get this kind of chaotic element in there because the card distribution gets really wonky. It played okay at the higher numbers, but as I said, the card distribution gets a little squirrely. But it's really pretty good at 4. But we played that one 15 times before we finally decided that this is just not great at 2, especially when there are so many other games that we were getting in and we were playing and, that we like at 2. The game we played the third most is Robert's favorite game, Carcassonne. Still a favorite after all these years and still getting a fair number of plays. That was a total of 14 plays for Carcassonne. In 4th place for total number of plays is Scrabble, our wall Scrabble game here. We play 1 word per day each in the morning. Usually we get up in the morning and we play our word. We finished this game, we just haven't cleared it off yet. We played a dozen games of Scrabble and we finished this game on January 1st. So this game we should have probably come up with a number of 13, but as you can see, we leave the game up on the board for a while. We're not real quick about let's clear it off and start over again. We'll leave it up for a few days and then total things and clear it off and that sort of thing. But so you could probably, playing 1 word a day, you can probably get in about 13 plays of Scrabble because it takes somewhere around 3 weeks. It depends upon whether you play a lot of short words or a lot of long words, and that depends on the tile distribution to a great extent. The board is just we've noticed over the year, we're getting even better at Scrabble, and the board is getting tighter and tighter every month. So a dozen plays of Scrabble. And in 5th place is Micro Macro Crime City, which I don't have the box for here. We played that 11 times in 2023, and I know there are more than 11 scenarios in the box, but what happened is we got it for Christmas, and then we started playing it the week between Christmas and New Year's, so there were 11 plays left in the box when I started logging them last January. So that was our top 5 for plays. Botnik was at number 6, but we started getting into ties with 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 because there are a lot of games that we played the same number of times, like 9. There were a bunch of games that we had played 9 times or 8 times or 6 or 5 or 4. So I will not get into all of that. If y'all are interested, oh gosh, where did I write that down? BG Stats also tracks your H index, which is this weird thing about like you've played X number of games, X number of times, and my H index is 8. I don't know if it resets that at the beginning of the year, or if it just keeps increasing your H index over the years. I guess we'll find out, since this will be my second year using the app. Okay, so that's what we played the most. But I would not say that those are our favorite games, with the exception of Carcassonne. We kind of started to get burned out on Micro Macro Crime City before we finished it up. We got burned out on Birds of a Feather, Western North America, and Numpsters. Carcassonne is Robert's favorite. Not going to get burned out on that. That's not happening. We both love the game. And we've got all of the major expansions in print and a number of the mini expansions, as well as some other variations on it. I gotta keep pushing the hair out of my face. This hat seems to be pushing my hair down into my face. So those were the ones we played the most, but with the exception of Carcassonne, maybe not like our favorite games. We started talking a little bit about what our favorite games were, and I came up with kind of a top 4 or 5. One of the things we agree on, and this is in no particular order, is Sea Salt and Paper. And this could actually suffer from a little bit of recency bias, because this is a game we got in the later part of 2023, but we love this to death. We will play this at the drop of a hat. I mean, all the time. So I think this is going to stick around for quite a while in terms of being up there in numbers of plays. This was a favorite of both of ours. Another one that we both liked a lot that just wowed us was Switch and Signal, which does not suffer from recency bias because we got it fairly early last year, I think in the spring. We enjoyed the heck out of this. It is a co-op game. It plays well at 2. And we won even though we crashed our trains into the outside of Dallas. It has 2 different boards, and you can vary the difficulty level, not just in terms of the board you use, but also in terms of how many other variations of the pieces that you put out and use. Like how many things, because it's a pick up and deliver thing. But we enjoyed that a lot. If you like train games and you're good with co-op, this is one that you should look for. As far as I know, right off the top of my head, it's the only co-op train game I can think of. Another game that made my fave list that wowed us on first play was Awkward Guest. People are always talking about how, oh, this game is a that killer and this game is a that killer, meaning that this game is like another game, but so much better. And usually when I watch videos where someone says something like that, I kind of go, yeah, maybe. But this, I kind of think this is a clue killer. I don't say that kind of thing often, but this is basically Clue, even better, almost infinite replayability. You'll never get the same case twice. And it's got an app that supports it, but you don't have to have the app to play. Although playing with the app gives you an advantage, because if you decide to solve and you're wrong, then you're out of the game if you're not using the app. Whereas if you're using the app, you can basically have the app check if your solution is right, and then what you do is you cannot solve the next time around, but the time after that. But you don't lose out of the game. You're still in the game. So I think that the app makes it eliminates player elimination, and I don't like games with player elimination. I mean, if you're playing it 2-player, player elimination is fine. That just means the game is over. But if you have more people, then you've just got people standing around waiting for a game to end. And I've been in that position because I love playing games, but I am not terribly good at it. I mean, I have a huge amount of fun. And how good you are at playing games has nothing to do with how much fun the games are. I mean, there are games I've never won that I have a blast playing every time. But if you have player elimination, it sucks a little bit of the fun out of being on the losing end of things, particularly if you get eliminated quickly. So using the app, you don't have the player elimination thing in this. I don't want these things to stack up right in front of the camera. I think I'm going to move them over. Yes, not a professional board game channel. Another game that we both loved is Robinson Crusoe, which we've only played once. I really wanted to get another play of it in before the end of the year, but we just couldn't. There were just too many other things going on. And also, I bought new games when games went on sale before Christmas, and I prioritized playing games as we got them over replaying games. Although some of the smaller, shorter games that we've gotten, like Sea Salt and Paper, they did get played over the holiday break. But we really enjoyed this. Of course, that could be because we won our first game, which I understand is not usual. But I don't know, I just enjoyed the process of it. And that's an important thing with the game. It's like you've got to enjoy doing the things that you do to play the game. And that's a really good sign of a good game if you can, say, lose a game, but you really enjoy the process of doing the game. Another game, a game that just missed on the list. I didn't put Forest Shuffle like on my best of list because I feel like that this could possibly be suffering from a little bit of recency bias. Robert and I both like this game. We like it a lot. I like it more than Robert does, though. And I think that I need to wait and see if this keeps getting played a lot or if it fades. But right now, we are playing this a fair amount and we are enjoying it. But I felt like I just couldn't quite put it on the list because it wasn't because also, as I said, I like it a lot more than Robert does. So I kind of felt like I needed a list of games that when I put them on the table, Robert and I both went, whoa, yeah. And that one, I went, whoa, yeah. And Robert's going like, yeah. It's just kind of a different level there. But another game we both like, I did not put on my top list, though I dithered about it. And actually, my list only has 4 on it, so I could kind of squeeze this one in. And I suspect I may not have put it on there because it's so small and it's deceptively simple, and the hat is taking itself off of my head again. But at the same time, kind of tricky to do really well. I think it would play better with more people than 2 because there is a problem with a little bit of the card cycling. Sometimes you can get stuck on a card coming out that doesn't get picked up by anybody, and that's less likely to happen if you have 4 players. Because this plays 2 to 4, but I will say it does play pretty well at 2. It really does, and we enjoy it a lot. And this is a very small box game. Each player does their own thing in their own area, though you're, picking up cards. And I like this a lot, and Robert likes it a lot. This is one that when we were talking about favorite games, it's not like at the top of the list, but it can't completely be left off of the list either, It wasn't one of those kind of games where we put it down on the table and we both went, ooh, wow. No, this is more like a kind of quiet, wow, yeah, this is nifty. It is neat. It is smooth. It's very compact and very satisfying. And when I was talking about favorite games with Robert, he mentioned Spots. Now, Forest Shuffle is a game that I like more than Robert does, though Robert really likes the game. Spots is a game that, though I was the one that picked it out and got it, Robert likes Spots more than I do, even though he rarely wins. The thing is, I got this game to fill a particular kind of spot in our board game collection. Spot, yes. And it kind of doesn't fill that slot, but it is a lot of fun and it's charming. And it's very, very fast. This is one of those kind of games that you can play when you don't have a lot of time to play a game. You just place the little dice on the dog spots. But I thought that this would be one of those kind of simple, brainless sort of games, like if you've got a splitting headache or you're just exhausted, this is one of those games you can play. Because Milliborns is kind of our go-to if we're feeling wrecked, but we still want to play a game, because it's a card game and it's like totally luck driven. You really don't need too many brain cells or too much snap to be able to play Milliborns. But because it's mostly luck. But spots, I got this because, I mean, dice chucking, luck, right? And you can go bust if you have like more than 7 in your doghouse. But I thought this would be that kind of a game, but there's kind of a bit of strategy in it. I mean, you can plan your thing out pretty well in terms of optimizing your chances of getting the numbers you want and not going bust. And it's not a heavy game. This is very, very light. But at the same time, this is not a completely mindless, luck-driven, dice-chucking game. Yes, it's got dice. That means there's a certain amount of luck in there. But you have to pay attention to what you're doing, and you have a little bit more agency than just a pure roll the dice and see if you win and lose kind of game. So Robert wanted spots on the list because he enjoys the heck out of this game, even though he is constantly making poor choices about his dogs. Oh, goodness. And that is kind of like what we played the most of and what we like the best. There are a few games that we played this year that we really, really, really didn't like. And our top 3, which I can't show you here because 2 of them we got rid of before we had even completed the first game. The Quidditch Golden Stitch game, yeah, we didn't get all the way through that, and we got rid of it. And Tiny Epic Dungeons, yes, we did not get all the way through a game of that, and we got rid of it. And the other real stinker that we played this year was Forbidden Sky, which is the 3rd game in the 4-game Forbidden series. Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, both of which are excellent, and Forbidden Jungle, which we are still struggling with. Not an entry-level game, I would say, and plays tremendously better at 2 than 4. Trust me on this. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do Forbidden Jungle at 4, and Forbidden Sky you just don't want to do at all. And I haven't gotten rid of it because it's rare and out of print, and it's the 3rd game in a 4-game series that we otherwise like. So, you know, and did I actually cover everything I meant to cover? I guess I should look. So, you know, we haven't gotten rid of it, but I won't guarantee you that we won't get rid of it at some point in time. And I think that does kind of, I didn't mention unplayed games. The unplayed game shelf. Yeah, end of last year, beginning of this year, good time to hit that. We currently have 15 unplayed games. Not a bad number, but I have to admit I haven't done a real good job of paring it down because toward the end of this past year, I started picking up games that played more than 2, that needed more than 2 as a minimum player count, because there were just some really good games that I really, really wanted to play. And so I kind of broke my rule and stacked up a few of games. I kind of added to the pile because being 2-player games, there are only certain specific opportunities for us to be able to play them. So that's going to take a while to whittle down. 10 of the 15 games need more than 2 players, which means that we have 5 viable games on our unplayed game shelf that we could put on the table at any given weekend, and then we would be caught up with unplayed games to the extent that we can be with only 2 players. So I think that especially since the past 2 years, we've done a very, very good job of playing new games as we get them in. These 5 games are games that we have had like for a few years now. Um, so yeah, I think that there is a very good chance that we could get those 5 played and probably, oh, I don't know, maybe pair a couple off of the 10 games that need more than 2 players. I think if I really pushed hard to get those games played with other people, that I might be able to do it. But whenever we play with other people, I don't have total control over what games we play. There are games that they want to play, and we usually end up playing the games that other people want to play. So I don't know. I think maybe my best shot for playing some of these games that need a higher player count is to just meet up with random people at the board game store and play through some games. What I really want to hit this next year is expansions, because I've got just way too many unplayed expansions, many of them for button shot games. So it's like, I need to not, this does not have any expansions to it, but the Button Shy Wallet games, yes, I've got a bunch of unplayed expansions, which are just a few cards, and many of them are for games that can be played solo, so I need to do that thing. But it's been good reconnecting with all of y'all here in the new year after a brief and hopefully not too onerous holiday break for you. I hope you all had a good time, whatever holiday you celebrate or celebrated, because I think a lot of them are over now or almost over now. We've still got our tree up. But I will see you next time around the table, when we will talk about what we have actually been playing over that holiday break and what goodies we got for Christmas. I hope y'all have a good one. It's been fun.